Hi Cookville, this is Trevor Hales here with Hales Repair Group, and we're in the lab today and we've got a special treat in store for you guys. I wanted to share with you a special vehicle that's come in, and not much is known about this vehicle other than the people who own it. This is a Chrysler Crossfire. They're made in the early 2000s, and at first glance it's an American vehicle. This one's the convertible. They came in a convertible and a coupe. This is really pretty blue with this two-tone black and cream leather seating and interior. The cool part about this is it's not a Chrysler. This is actually made by a third-party company, and it's actually a Mercedes SLK 230. So this is a Mercedes V6. You'll notice our little Mercedes logo right here, dead giveaway. Very beautifully well kept, very clean, very little wrong with it, except it came in and it wouldn't run. Shifter would not come out of park, and the vehicle was altogether just not operable. So I wanted to kind of share with you guys the story of this vehicle and kind of really pinpoint the reason why specialists like me are very important. So if you drive a vehicle, BMW, Porsche, Mercedes-Benz, Audi, Mini Cooper, Alpina, any of those brands, it's really important that you guys get a specialist to look at it. Chrysler Crossfire, not many people would know that that's a Mercedes vehicle, so Chrysler doesn't want to deal with it. Mercedes, because of all of the changes that were made throughout its life cycle by Chrysler and the group, I believe Carmen, which is spelled with a K, made to it, it was very, well, they don't want to touch it either. So it's very important that you find a specialist that can actually work on these vehicles and understands them. It's mostly an SLK 230, which is actually odd because that's how you order the parts for it. But there are parts for it that have nothing to do with Mercedes, or they're so tweaked that the Mercedes part wouldn't work for this vehicle. Now, this vehicle had a problem where it would not start and would not come out of gear, and the customer had brought it to a regular shop. We don't speak poorly about other shops, so I'm not going to mention their name. So the shop charged her, I think it was $1,700, replaced the shifter because they believed that that was going to be what was wrong with it, because the vehicle would not come out of gear. So I'll show you guys something real quick. So if you'll come into the car real quick, you can see this vehicle, like many vehicles, especially Mercedes of this generation, if you press your foot on the brake and have the key on, the shifter should come out of gear. This one did not. So that was a problem that they were having. We also had several warning lights on the dash that were coming on. The rear spoiler wouldn't work, the brake lights wouldn't work, none of it would operate and function. And they replaced the shifter. Now the shifter did not fix the issue, and it never would have, because it's a symptom, not the cause of the problem. So inside this little box right here, if you'll take and unlock these, and you just pull this guy right out, you'll see a ridiculous amount of wiring, and that is because there are several modules, including the ECU and a special module for this vehicle. This guy right here, in which you'll see there's a 40, 20, and 4 15-amp fuses. And this is called the relay control module. Now this is what I suspected to be the issue. Now again, it is very, very important that you guys take these vehicles, these German vehicles, European vehicles, they need to go to people who understand these vehicles and know what's going on with them. That is a Mercedes part. It's a known issue in our world. And in the Mercedes, all the Mercedes from the early 2000s that had this module, they had a problem that happened with them, and what it would be is the solder joints were not quite good enough to transfer the amount of electricity that needed to the various points in which it powered. So the relay control module houses a section of relays and resistors. So those relays powered other modules in the car. So it's kind of like a very advanced relay box. Not really a control module. There isn't really any main circuitry. It's mostly just housing a couple of relays and some resistors. So this vehicle didn't start. We obviously did a full inspection. We started putting it onto our tester, and then we were able to find through a little bit of an interesting diagnosis, because it wasn't what normally goes wrong with them, which is those contacts, and usually the fix for that is just to solder them. We reflowed the board and that didn't fix it, but again, we don't charge the customer if it doesn't fix it. That's something we do here. We do not charge customers if something we recommend doesn't fix it. But through my diagnosis to find the issue, so right here, this guy right there, that little connector right here, these two wires send power to a module called the cab module, and that's actually the ABS module right here. So this wasn't getting power. And then the transmission control module, which in this vehicle is in the floorboard, did not have power. So we found that we were having intermittent, so sometimes it would send power, sometimes it wouldn't. So I unplugged that, and I was able to find a forum on a professional forum site. This isn't something you can just Google, you have to pay for the service. It's called Identifix. So once we were able to look out there, I checked for power there. Well, I pulled it out and I found that one of the relays in this little guy was actually not working. It was not operating like it was supposed to. Normally a relay works. One section will send power through it. The coil will actuate and close two contacts. Those two contacts were not getting closed. Now, the biggest difference between a technician and a mechanic, in my experience, is that a technician will tell you what's wrong with the vehicle, a mechanic will tell you what might be wrong with the vehicle. I don't like to guess. I never have, and I never will like to guess. So what I did was I was able to forcibly close the relay without breaking it, and then once I closed the relay, I tested the system again. We had restored power to the vehicle. Now again, like I said, the problem with this vehicle was that it didn't start. Didn't start, wouldn't operate, nothing. Here's the key. Now, like I said, the shifter originally would not move. Now I should be able to put my foot on the brake, and then I should be able to move the shifter freely. As you'll notice, I can move the shifter freely. It wouldn't do that originally. So then, once I've got it here, I should be able to start the vehicle. And I can. So as you can see, this vehicle is now functioning. Now again, it is not fixed. The reason is we recommend that the replacement of the relay control module. Right now, that relay is being forced closed. That is not how it's supposed to operate. What we've recommended is the replacement of that module, but we know for a fact that replacing that module will fix it, because it will reset the condition and put it to where the relay will actually actuate the way it's supposed to. So again, I cannot stress this enough. It is very important that you guys bring your vehicle to a specialist. I am not the only specialist. There's a ridiculous amount of us in the Cookeville region, so you guys are aware. There are 3 that I know of. Elite Automotive in Sparta. There is one in Crossville. I believe it's Animal Motorsports, something like that. And then there's us. So we're the only Cookeville branch of actual BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, Audi, Volkswagen. We're the only people that know how to work on these correctly and properly. We use the same software the dealer has. We use the same repair instructions. We torque every bolt that we put down. We replace bolts if they need to be replaced. It is very important that you understand, because there are parts of this vehicle that if you did not know, you would assume to do something like replace the shifter. Whereas through my experience and years of doing this, I knew that that was just a symptom, and that the real cause was likely to be a relay control module, a cab module, one of the other modules, because we had a CAN issue. That's a CAN network system. So that CAN network is basically 2 wires, and it's basically like a giant 5-way, 10-way phone call in which the system is able to communicate with a lot less wires. Instead of having 3,000 wires all over the place connecting to every single sensor, connecting to every single module that could possibly see the signal. The sensor, depending on which module is closest or based on the manufacturer, we'll send that signal to one module, and that one module will then tell the other modules on this CAN bus system where everything's at, what the signals are, if everything's good to go, like authorization to start the vehicle. Well, on Mercedes, it requires you have your foot on the brake. That signal was not getting sent. We didn't have any brake lights. It wouldn't allow the shifter to come out. Now that signal goes from the brake switch all the way to the shifter. So the shifter might be, if you didn't understand that the fact that the CAN was down, that even if the shifter was not sending the signal, if the CAN bus is down, nothing's going to get it even if it is. And we had an issue with the CAN, specifically the TCU, transmission control module, and the cab module, which is our ABS module, anti-lock braking system. It's the braking system module. So those were not communicating properly because they weren't getting power. So once we solved that issue, we fixed the vehicle. Now we're going to do a full inspection. Those are done for free. And we go ahead and recommend any services that it might need, if they need tires or brakes, or if there's anything that's broken or seized, if there's any bushings that are cracked. We go through the car just like any other professional shop would. But we offer the same repairs and some repairs. Like I said, we reflowed a board. Now it didn't work, so we didn't charge them, but I've fixed quite a few modules by reflowing a board. And I do that for a fraction of the cost, because I think it's ABS modules on some vehicles are anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000. We can reflow the board and fix it for $500. That's a big difference, and we don't have to reprogram the vehicle. We don't have to pull the whole ABS unit and replace it. We just pull the circuits and rebuild it. And so there are services we can offer that the dealership can't. That's why I recommend choosing an independent. And there are services that the dealer offers that we also offer. So if you like this video, please subscribe to us. We'll send out more of this stuff on the Facebook page, and we're going to be starting a YouTube channel for some of the videos on this. And stay tuned for part 2, where we test drive the vehicle, and then you can see everything functioning the way it's supposed to, including probably one of the coolest features of this vehicle, especially for the time that it was built. This little guy right here is an aero spoiler. This operates at a certain speed designated by the vehicle, and it will actually pop up to create stability at higher speeds. This was not a common feature for vehicles of its price range when it came out. So this was a 2005 model. In 2005 model vehicle, there were not many, if any, vehicles that had this feature. So I think it's a really cool car. If you didn't know anything about this, now you do. So if you see one, you're actually not looking at a Chrysler, you're looking at a Mercedes. It's just got a different skin on it. Again, we'd like to thank you for watching the video. Feel free to comment down below. We'll be posting this on Facebook today. And if you're looking forward to part 2, let us know in the comments. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful day.